Outside of Ohio State, the Big Ten is not known for quarterbacks, but why Athan Kaliakmanis could be changing that for the Gophers starting next season.
Hey,
You are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And today we are diving in on Athan Kaliakmanis, the quarterback for the Gophers in the last start, possibly the next start, and the quarterback of the future. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and let me know what your thoughts are with Athan Kaliakmanis, how excited you are, how nervous you are, whatever your thoughts are heading into an opportunity for the new young quarterback. Drop those down below in the comments on YouTube, and be sure to follow wherever you get your podcasts. And today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. We are going to dive in deep at future quarterback Athan Kaliakmanis. But before we dive into that, let's dive into the Gophers full schedule that was released yesterday. And man, oh man, it is a tough one. It is truly. But hey, what do they say? You have to beat the best to be the best. And the Gophers are going to have that opportunity next season. The schedule is currently as follows. We'll play Nebraska at home, Eastern Michigan at home, and then you go to Chapel Hill and play North Carolina, a good North Carolina team that has a quarterback, a young quarterback that stepped up and is one of the better quarterbacks in the nation, currently ranked 21 this season. Then you have Northwestern at Northwestern. Then you play Louisiana Lafayette and Michigan at home back-to-back. Then you go on the road to Iowa, at home versus Michigan State, at home versus Illinois, and then you go on the road to Purdue and on the road to Ohio State, and then you finish the season at home versus Wisconsin. Now, the back half of that schedule is a murderer's row. I mean, you've got Michigan, Iowa, Michigan State, Illinois, Purdue, Ohio State, and Wisconsin. That's a tough 7-game stretch. There's no gimmies at all in that 7-game stretch. So we won't be hearing about, oh, this easy non-conference next season. Louisiana Lafayette, this season is 4-3. So they're having a little bit of a mediocre season. Prior 2 seasons, they had lost like 1 game each of those seasons. And they finished 2021 as the number 16 school in the AP poll. So you can't say a program like that is weak after they were just coming off of some fantastic years. Then you've got UNC, who is currently ranked right now number 21, and then Eastern Michigan, which it's a probably easier game, but you can't say that non-conference schedule is not difficult or present some sort of a challenge or upset. Now, we're going to get a real taste of what the future of this program will look like against some of the best with that schedule. And with that being said, getting a glimpse at that challenge ahead tells me one thing for the Gophers and what they absolutely need to do this year in order to prep themselves. And it could be the defining factor to the Gophers next year and if they could be headed to a bowl next season. But first, let's talk about SweatBlock. SweatBlock is a product that you need to try if you've ever been self-conscious about odor, if you've ever been self-conscious about how much you're sweating, if you're pitting through shirts. Trust me on this one. It saves some of my confidence, and it can do the same for you. It's doctor created and doctor recommended. So be sure to check out SweatBlock, and you can save 20% at SweatBlock.com. All you have to use is promo code LOCKEDON so that way you can save 20% over at SweatBlock.com. And again, it is also available on Amazon. All right, so we're going to dive in. And like I said, after talking about a doozy of a schedule next year, it is blatantly clear, in my opinion, we have to, absolutely have to get Athan Kaliakmanis a couple more starts this season. I mean, getting him out there now, would you rather have him out there now making some mistakes, making some learning mistakes and growing pains now in a season where we've already determined we are not going to be able to win the West, or our chances are on life support? Or would you rather he make learning mistakes and whatnot to open the 23 season in games that will likely need to win to be able to contend and or even be bowl eligible, and then have every irrational fan, and I know every team has them, but still giving up hope in those early games 1, 2, or 3? Why not get him some time now? Why not let him make those learning mistakes now and be more confident than ever moving into the next season? And we're going to talk about his confidence in a little bit. But first, I mean, prepping him now will set him up to be successful in 23 and hit the ground running when it hits the Big Ten season, the true Big Ten season, in that back half of the schedule, like I had mentioned. Now, there are many sources out there saying Athan Kaliakmanis hasn't played since 2019 due to the COVID pandemic canceling his senior year. But I want to put that straight. That isn't true. It's not true at all. In fact, Athan played a spring season in 2021 where he led his team to a 6-0 record in the spring season, and he had 1,165 passing yards with 15 passing touchdowns, plus 245 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Oh yeah, and did I mention that was only in 6 games? He put on a clinic out there and ultimately won the Gatorade Player of the Year for the state of Illinois. That is the upside and the potential that he has. He is a top tier caliber player. And we saw that in high school. We get glimpses of it in spring camp and fall camp and in that Penn State game. The future is exciting. So now when we talk about Athan Kaliakmanis, the talent is definitely there and the coaching staff is behind him. As the confidence grows and the coaching staff gives him more freedom, he could be truly, truly special. In fact, here's what Coach PJ Fleck had to say about Athan and his confidence in him in the last presser.
I have an incredible amount of confidence in that young man. I think you all know that. I think you know how I feel about him. I think you know when we recruited, how we talked about him. I think the sky's the limit for that young man. And I told you before, if you get in a position that we were in, Cole banged up, Tanner banged up, if there's one person you can put in that environment that was not going to be rattled by that environment, it was him. And I think he showed that. I don't think he was at all rattled. I don't think you saw that at all. I thought you saw a really young, inexperienced quarterback that has a really bright future that everybody can be really excited about, because he's got great intangibles that will only get better, but he's got a great skill set with his feet, with his arm, his mind. He's got great confidence about himself, got a great presence, understands the game really well, and we'll keep building that around him. Part of that, Andy's question is, you can call it whatever you want, conservative or whatever, but you want to do what you know he can do and he's capable of doing in that environment, in that first start, and show and see what he can handle, what he can't, what is going to be productive for us, what he's probably not ready for. And again, we talked before, Manny Diaz, there's new blitzes every single week. How much is too much on his plate? And we needed to play defense. We needed to play better defensive.
Now, I completely agree with Coach PJ Fleck. He didn't look rattled at all, not one bit, in one of the most hostile environments in the country in that whiteout game. So I'm excited to see how he continues to develop, how he continues to build. And in game 1, Athan had 221 total yards, a touchdown. So 175 of those were through the air and 46 were on the ground. He has the ability to use his legs, whether that be to buy more time for wide receivers, which this unit desperately needs, as we know, or actually go and get the yardage on his own, scrambling out, running, even designed runs. In fact, Athan Kaliakmanis when he does officially take the reins, when he takes the helm at quarterback, we could see a shift in the offense to cater more to his abilities. In the last presser, I also asked Coach PJ Fleck how the mobility that Athan brings can change the offense, if at all. And here's what he had to say.
It was really the same. We only added one play that would make him be a true runner. He pulled it a few times on his own. When Tanner's in there, Tanner has the ability to do that too. But as we keep going, if that happens to be where we go, then we definitely have to look at that as well, because I think he is a really good runner. But he'll only get better as he goes. Again, he's still a redshirt freshman that needs to keep learning and growing and failing, succeeding all at the same time. And, we know he'll do that.
So the offense could change, could be a little bit different than what Gophers fans are used to seeing, but that could be a very welcomed change. Now, I want to talk about why I truly believe Athan Kaliakmanis could be that Big Ten quarterback that the Big Ten is not used to seeing outside of Ohio State, and the Gophers got a good one. We're going to jump into that next, including a couple where I asked his father, Alex Kaliakmanis, a few questions and got some great responses, behind the scenes perspective for you, the listeners, that you're not going to want to miss. But first, let's talk about our friends over at BetOnline. BetOnline is bringing you the latest sports wagering information and everything you need to know when it comes to the latest trends in action. In fact, they just dropped the NCAA men's basketball futures for every conference, and that includes the Big Ten. So who's the favorite when it comes to winning the Big Ten? Well, the odds are in favor of Indiana, which is no surprise to many. Michigan follows closely behind, but in third, it's Iowa. In fourth, it's Michigan State. In fact, Illinois falls to number 5. That one catches me by surprise because I honestly, truly see Illinois as a top 2, top 3 unit in the Big Ten. So to catch them at number 5, those could be some nice odds to open the basketball season that could definitely shift that way. Now, Purdue comes in at 6, Ohio State at 7. Again, another team that I think will catch many by surprise. Even though they lost key players, they've got some studs on that team. Minnesota comes in at 12 to win the Big Ten Conference. Now, I wouldn't necessarily bet on the Gophers this season to win the Big Ten Conference, but they're building something special, and next year will be a real tell, because I think they can truly compete for it next season. So if you ever want to know the latest trends in action, more lines, more props, more odds than ever before, be sure to head on over to BetOnline for all the latest and greatest. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, thank you for making Locked On Golden Gophers your first listen when it comes to Gophers daily sports, and be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today as your second listen. They're doing everything, giving you the latest sports information in the sporting world, because you can never keep up with so many things happening in the sports world. So definitely make that your second listen. Check it out and get the latest and top trending sports stories across all sports at Locked On Sports Today. Now, like I said, the Big Ten is not known for QB play. In fact, a lot of people often talk about how the Big Ten hasn't been good or hasn't had good quarterbacks as of late. Now, that's not long-term speaking, because you've had a lot of great quarterbacks come from this conference, including Kirk Cousins, including Drew Brees, including Tom Brady, and more. So overall, the Big Ten is not hated on as quarterback play, but as of late, people really only see Ohio State as the true NFL caliber quarterback, or even top-notch college level quarterback play. They only see it from Ohio State. But the times are a-changing, and I truly think that Athan Kaliakmanis can break that stereotype and be a Gopher player who brings that excitement to each and every game. Now, honestly, I think that talent-wise, Athan has a skill set similar to what we saw from Zach Wilson at BYU. The different arm angles, the off-platform throwing, the on-the-run, whoa, how did he do that type passes. I think he has that ability, and the ability to drop a pass right in a bucket, throw it on a rope to the receivers. Now, that being said, I do believe an area of improvement will be the consistency with that pinpoint accuracy, because there are moments where the ball can sail on him, or there's moments where he tries to place the ball in there to the receiver as opposed to throwing it in there. So again, these are things that will all improve with more experience, with more time on the field, with just the experience out there. So it's not something to worry about by any means, but only can really grow and get better, especially with a player who has the confidence in himself. Now, in the limited opportunities that he has seen this year, he's had 14 completions on 33 attempts for 259 yards and a touchdown, plus 3 interceptions. Now, I know people might be worried about the 3 interceptions, but those interceptions, they're not as much of a cause concern, in my opinion, because one against Illinois was truly a bad decision and an interception. The other 2 plays, one of them could have been broken up by a wide receiver on the play who gave up on the route and essentially just let the defender go and intercept the ball. That's not something any quarterback should have to worry about or have placed on their shoulders. Then on top of that, in the Penn State game, the interception that was given up was actually on a double pump with the outside release to Michael Brown-Stephens. And then he took a shot and Michael Brown-Stephens lost his footing, making it a ball that the defensive back could just go up and get with no contest, nobody there to actually put up a fight for the ball. So in fact, PFF didn't even initially count that as a turnover worthy play in their grading system upon the initial evaluations. That's how much of bad luck or not assisting from the receivers he had on those plays. So I wouldn't be concerned too much about those interceptions heading into what could be next with Athan Kaliakmanis. Now, he also had 63 rush yards and a touchdown so far this season. 2 big-time throws, which were a welcome sight to Gophers fans, and one of which was on 3rd and 8 in this Penn State game, down 17-3, under 2 minutes left to go in the first half. Ball on the Minnesota 12. Athan catches the snap at the 5-yard line, places the ball pinpoint on a rope over the outside shoulder of Le'Meke Brockington, where only he could get it. The safety and the cornerback were both completely out of reach to find that ball, and it makes you just say, that's the future. That's what we have to look forward to. Get stoked, get hype, get whatever. But that was something we do not see from Gophers QBs all that often. And as much as I love Tanner and what Tanner's done for this program, I will always give love to him because he's done so much for us at the Gophers program. He's set so many records, but that ability right there, that's something we haven't really been able to see from any quarterback in the last decade for about, if I had to be honest. Now, overall, I recently spoke to Athan and Dino Kaliakmanis' dad, Alex Kaliakmanis, and asked him a few questions that I think will give you some great inside perspective on what Gopher Nation will be getting these next few years. Now, the first question I asked are, what are Athan and Dino like when it comes to studying the game, off-season work, film? What drives them? Whether it was in high school or even now, what are they like? And he came back with an answer that will please so many Gophers fans. The fact that they are passionate and students of the game. They have a huge gift, and this is true. I've never really personally thought about it too much, but they have the gift that they've been with each other and have played a huge part in each other's success. And they always are putting in extra reps together and reviewing film and going over the playbook together and concepts, coverages, and on and on. I've never thought about that perspective, but that definitely helps to have someone else that you are learning with from the other perspective, from the receiving perspective. So the receiver gets to pick the quarterback's brain, and the quarterback gets to pick the receiver's brain on how things work, how things time out. It's definitely an advantage that many folks out there don't have the opportunity to have. Now, overall, he said that they are technicians constantly working on mechanics, footwork, route running, timing, and they're both really close, but they're also extremely different personality-wise. Athan is more extroverted while Dino is more introverted, but it works for them. So both achieved some amazing honors in high school in multiple sports, and he said the biggest thing for both of them is to become the best version of themselves that they can be. Now, the thing that stood out to me in this answer as well was that they're not looking to be the next Brady. They're not looking to be the next Jerry Rice. They're looking to be the best selves. and not to compare themselves to anybody else. And honestly, that is a beautiful thing. It's a great thing. And it also doesn't set you up to try to have expectations that you can't live up to, but you can go out there and be the best Athan Kaliakmanis in the type of quarterback that this program hasn't seen before. And that's perfect. That's awesome. And that is the right mindset to have. Now, Alex also talked about how he stresses work-life balance to them, which is, in my opinion, something people don't think about enough. So you love to hear it. But overall, he said when they have family time, when they have friend time, it's truly enjoyed. But when it comes to work, they're on a different level. And that seems to be something that is trending for Gophers prospects and recruits and commits lately. You talk about Athan and Dino. You talk about Jaden Henley on the basketball program. You talk about Dennis Evans. You're starting to hear about these guys that just have a different mindset, a different attack, and a different approach on the game. And that is something that can elevate these Gophers programs. Now, question number 2 I asked Alex was, what is your family's relationship with Coach Fleck and the staff, and how did you feel about Athan and Dino choosing Minnesota and developing here moving forward? Now, overall, he stressed they have a great relationship with the coaches, and it's important to note that Athan and Dino were among the first commits of the class as sophomores, and Athan had 30 plus offers. Dino had 15 plus offers, and that most weren't even publicized because of the commitment that they had and the respect as a family to the program. And think about that. There's so many kids out there that still take offers, still take other visits and things like that, but they stopped visiting schools after they verbally committed. Offers were still coming in up to 24 hours before signing day. People were putting in those last pitches, trying to flip both Athan and Dino, and they never wavered. Overall, Alex said he thinks that it sends a strong message of their belief in the program at that time, and it continued when the offensive coordinator played a big role in recruiting them and then left to another school. Now, when that new offensive coordinator came in, they still remained steadfast, and then after he left and Coach Shiraka came back, they were still wanting to be a part of it. It's not the easiest situation to have your offensive coordinator after your first year leave, but they stayed resilient. They stayed committed to being contributors to this program and this football team. And as a parent, he's seen tremendous personal growth as men and as leaders. And now we're looking forward to how they develop as players as they get more time and experience. Now, the third and final question that I asked Alex Kaliakmanis, the father of Athan and Dino, is, what was it like getting to see Athan play in his first start on the road in the whiteout game? You were in the atmosphere. You felt it. Did you know he was ready for such a moment? Because it truly seemed like he was more composed than you'd ever expect from a redshirt freshman. Now, his response was this, and this is the mindset that you can look forward to coming from Athan as he gets ready to be the future of quarterback at this program. He said it's completely what he expected, and he knows Athan will get better and better. That's just how he's built. Athan is a leader and a warrior, and he has too much moxie to let the whiteout crowd get the best of him at Penn State. He has the gift of swagger that great QBs have, and you can see that on the field, folks. You can see it. You can feel it. It's exciting. It's why fans are so stoked to have him on the field sooner. Now, Alex also said personally he saw a lot of great things on the film. He saw some things that can use improvement, which we've talked about here on Locked On Golden Gophers as well. But you can always do better, and that is a process of becoming great and winning championships. And he has some lofty personal goals, which you love to hear. But at the end of the day, he came here to win and be a key contributor of a Gopher football program. And he can assure you, the Gophers fans, that loss will not rest easy with Athan. He's going to be putting in the work. He's going to be doing whatever he can to be the best quarterback for this program. And I think the future is in good hands. But we need more time for him to learn this season, in my opinion. And that doesn't mean no more Tanner for the rest of the year. That doesn't mean we won't see Tanner on the field again, but maybe the next one or two at the minimum. Send them Kaliakmanis' way. Let him start, let him grow, and let us prep for that 2023 season. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of Locked On Golden Gophers. I hope you appreciated it. I hope you like that inside perspective. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube, and go Gophers.